Hello, David Politis here, Silicon Slopes Conversations. Welcome. With me today is Ryan Porter, CEO and co-founder of LiveView Technologies. Ryan, welcome.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Well, we're glad to have you here. I've been doing a little bit of studying about LiveView. You're based in Orem?
Orem.
And officially, LiveView's roots go all the way back to 2004?
2005.
2005. And back then, LiveView was a company that was focused on the residential homeowner marketplace. LiveView Technology provides what products, what services to its customers today?
Today, we provide live streaming video for security purposes, management purposes, and efficiency. So we're best known for our mobile units. They're mobile trailers with solar panels and a mast that goes up with cameras on them.
Okay.
And different IoT devices to detect and alert on different events.
Okay, so IoT, Internet of Things.
Mm-hmm.
And so you're talking about cameras. You're talking about software as a service because you're capturing video, but you're also then monitoring that video. Is that correct?
Correct. It's a cloud-based platform to manage the live video streams and the archiving and event-based analytic solutions. So great example, a big box retail parking lot. When the location is closed for business, our systems are there. They're running analytics. Anybody who's coming on property, we detect them. We deter them through audible talk downs, strobe lights, floodlights, those type of things. And then we're also creating an event that goes to the monitoring company to go into that live and talk to the people, get them to leave the property, and then potentially escalate to police to respond.
Okay. So press release came out recently, innovative video software and safety surveillance solutions. So really this is about safety, it's about preventing theft, it's about preventing damage, and you're helping today almost exclusively corporate customers. Is that right?
It's everything from S&B, mid-market to corporate. A lot of our customers are large enterprise with a large number of locations spread across the country or even across the world.
Right. You mentioned earlier before we started our official video today,
Right.
Marathon Oil. So how does a LiveView or LVT, how do you help an organization like Marathon Oil?
Yeah, so they have locations spread across a large geographic area. It could be a corporate office. It could be an oil site, a pumping site. Really anywhere that they have property, locations, assets, and we can deploy there. The unique thing about our system is we don't touch the infrastructure at the property at all. So we're not trying to tap into their power. We're not running trenches or anything to get power. We're not connecting to their internet connection. We can literally go in, and within 30 minutes from being on site, we can be set up and running full security on that site. And so it becomes very quick and easy to do large deployments for large companies because we just don't touch any of their critical infrastructure that they have. And so it's quick, it's easy, and it's extremely effective.
So that means then you could roll up to a commercial construction site and set up security around it for monitoring what's happening 24/7, 365 as they're putting a new building in the ground. Is that correct? Okay.
Correct.
Because I know that in the commercial construction, oh my heavens, one of their biggest issues is theft.
Right.
All their tools, all their equipment, they're at risk for being stolen as long as nobody's there, right?
Correct.
And even while people are there.
Right.
People walking off the jobs with toolboxes or whatever, and it's like, wait a second, that doesn't belong to that guy or that gal, right? So you're being able to monitor all of that. And you've got the hardware that can be portable or can be fixed and the software to go with that. And then a monitoring organization as well? All that fits together,
Yeah,
or do
so
you outsource that?
we outsource the monitoring side of it.
Okay.
So we do everything else from the hardware, the software, the communication link, the servers on the back end, everything to create that alert. Then with that alert, we send it to the customer. Might have their own security response. There's large monitoring companies that receive those alerts, and so we can push it to whoever they want it to go to.
Right. So you can go to a Brinks, you can go to a ADT
Right.
or whatever.
Correct.
And they can then do the monitoring. And if, depending upon the level of the threat or the level of the alert, they then bring in law enforcement or what have you.
Correct.
Okay.
They can escalate as needed. Now we monitor the health of the system. So we're monitoring the equipment that's deployed, we're monitoring the internet connection, and we're monitoring the servers on the back end. So we take care of everything for that.
Okay. But this is actually not where you started. You started actually in 2004 looking at homeowners, right?
Right.
Talk about that and the transition from, was it HomeView back then? What was the company back in 2005?
Yeah, in 2005, I was in construction financing, residential construction financing, and I wanted to put a camera on the projects that we were doing, right?
Sure.
See, I thought, hey, the homeowner would love seeing their project being built, right? So that was the original idea. And when Bob Renner, partner, I told him the idea. We became partners right there and started working on it. And we thought it would be pretty easy to do. We're thinking there's got to be a company out there doing it. Let's go find the company and just pay for the service, right? Couldn't find one anywhere. And so we said, well, how hard can it be? Let's just do it on our own.
How hard could it be?
Right. So it ended up being really hard.
Okay.
But we put it on a project up in Deer Creek on a home up there, not Deer Creek, Deer Valley. And so we got it set up, and it was scary, right? It was just a little 4x4 wood pole with a little fixed camera on the top of it. And I remember we got it set up, and I called my parents in California and said, hey, go to this address and tell me what you see. And they went on there, and I'm talking to them on the phone, and they could see me, and I'm waving to them. And they're in California, I'm in Utah, and they're looking at this construction project that was being framed. And it was just like this aha moment of there's value in this. People could use this, right? Whether it's the contractor, that's looking to see are the subs on site.
An insurance company,
The bank for letting draws out, right? Those type of things. And then obviously the owner. There's a lot of money that's gone into it, and they want to be able to see what's happening, right? The person who's at work as an accountant, they're framing and a crane's putting trusses on. It's exciting. So that was the original idea. We got it set up, and a lot of contractors started coming to us saying, hey, how do we get these on our projects? And so that was 2005, 6, 2007. By 2007, we thought we were going to take over the world.
Sure.
Right? And we were expanding to a couple other states. But if you remember 2007 at that time, it was prices were soaring, values were going up. And so we were expanding. And I went into Bob and I said, hey, this is I don't know if we should expand. I think we should be looking at other things to go into.
You actually had that thought.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at 2007, the number of spec homes on the market and the number of neg-am financing that was happening on every deal, this is a recipe for disaster.
If you could fog a mirror, you could get a loan.
Yeah, and so it wasn't a big surprise, right? So in 2007, instead of expanding, we started working with UDOT. And so they had a need. They have, shops all over the state, and they send trucks out to see what the snow conditions are. And so they were talking to us saying, hey, if you can put these in these really remote areas, then instead of sending a truck out there, we can just get on and see if it needs to be plowed.
Yeah, because then you're talking about with the Utah Department of Transportation, I don't have to lose the time or spend the money for the individual to go out to a
Right.
site remotely, and all of the expense of having the truck or the vehicle to go out there and come
Yeah,
back.
because they're going in a snowplow,
Exactly.
loaded with salt,
Exactly.
to find out, oh, there's no snow here. Turn around and come back. Or there's too much snow here. Now it's not really, it's harder to push the snow, right?
Correct.
And so that was another aha moment. Wait, there's just for management, being able to have eyes on and see what's happening can help companies be more efficient. And so I remember at that time we went to the first meeting with UDOT, and they said, hey, these are in really remote areas. There's no power. There's no internet connection. So can you make that work? And I said, well, yeah, we can make that work. We can figure it out. We haven't done it, but let's try it and see.
Right.
And I remember walking out of there, and Bob, who kind of takes care of all the hardware and everything in the field, he's like, how are we going to do this?
What the hell are you saying, Ryan?
You just said we could do it. And I said, no. I said, we can try.
Exactly.
But my opinion is if you say no, the opportunity's gone. If you say, let us try, if we're successful, let's move forward, then you create opportunity, right? And that's kind of been our attitude all the way through.
So how'd you make it work then?
Well, we
Solar
left
power,
that meeting.
Solar power?
Yeah, I said to Bob, I don't know, but I think we need to go Google how solar power really works and figure that out. So that's what we did. We went and learned about solar power. And so, yeah, we got solar working. And
What about the connectivity from a signal standpoint? We're using line of sight, or we're using
we ended
satellite?
up using cellular.
Okay. Interesting.
And some line of sight things. And so, up to that point, we were using, like on all our construction, we were using point-to-point radios going up to the mountaintop. But those require, tuning them in, and they can come out of adjustment, those type of things.
Yeah.
And so cellular at that time was, you pay a monthly fee and you had unlimited data back then. And so we're like, hey, this is great. Let's go. And so we started going with the DOT, with UDOT, and expansion. Other DOTs from other states came to us and said, hey, we want to do what UDOT's doing. So we started expanding there. And that really, the Department of Transportation is what helped us mature as a company and start to grow through that downturn in the economy.
Because everything went to hell in a handbasket in the residential marketplace.
Yeah, residential, every time there's a residential boom, there's always a commercial boom that follows to bring the infrastructure in. So you had this residential boom that came to an end, and so we got into the commercial side of it. And so HomeView, we started off as HomeView thinking, hey, HomeView Technologies, we're looking at homes.
Sure.
And we would go to commercial construction. They're like, hey, you need to change your name because we're not building homes. And so that's when we went to LiveView Technologies.
Okay.
And it stuck with that. And so continue to grow. That was through 2009, 10. From day one, we were always a subscription-based model. So we own the hardware, and they paid a monthly subscription under contract. When we got into 2010, 2011, we brought in, we started doing more contracts with states.
Mm-hmm.
So we brought in Dave Studdert as a consultant for the company to help us with these contracts and some government things. And he ended up liking us. We liked him after a month, and he came on as the third partner in the company to do business development, sales, marketing, those type of things. And then we said to him, we're like, hey, everybody thinks we're a software company, but we don't really have like a software team, and we want to do some software. And so he says, I know this guy, Steve Lindsay, let's go to lunch with him. And he said, he's brilliant, he's a genius, there's no way he's going to come here, but let's go to lunch with him and see if he knows somebody. So we went with Steve, and we showed him what we were doing, and really we'd been in this industry for 5 or 6 years now.
Yeah.
And the industry looks at cameras as security. And so there was this new innovation, new technology with IP-based cameras. And the industry said, well, we're going to take this camera with all this technology, and still connect it to a wire back to a DVR and NVR for recording.
Yeah.
And we just looked at it as security is one thing, but live video, archiving, management, efficiency, that's how you go to another level, right? And so Steve came in, we showed him that, and we said, I'm not an IT guy, but I was trying to explain. I said, we have these cameras and this equipment in the field, and somehow we wanted to go to some servers in somewhere and then have like users connect to it, right?
Okay.
And I was basically explaining a cloud platform
Exactly.
with edge devices.
Yes.
Right? And so he came back a couple days later and he said, listen, I've spent the last 2 days around the clock researching this, and I can't find anybody doing it. And he came from an enterprise computing background, Novell, and really smart guy.
Yeah.
And he came on and says, I want to be a part of this. And the monthly subscription, the software, it was all making sense to him. And so he came on as the fourth partner in the company. And he was over IT and built up a team. And so it's a bootstrap company. It's pain, it's suffering, it's exciting, it's hard, it's everything. We literally started in my garage. Mm-hmm. I had high school kids when high school got out. They would come to my garage and they would build these camera systems, and then Bob and I would go out and install them on these sites. That's just how it started. Yeah. Our conference room was the kitchen table. But based on this monthly subscription, so every month that monthly subscription would go up just a little bit for years and years.
Yeah, monthly recurring revenue.
Yeah, and it just kept growing really slow. I remember we got to $35,000 a month, and we really had the conversation like, should we just shut everything down and live off of this because this is awesome? And we were at $35,000 a month, thinking we had arrived, right? And so it was just, it was just continual growth, but based on good business fundamentals, right? We believed in being profitable. We believed in having positive EBITDA. We believed in taking care of the customers and providing real value, right? So we didn't have customers that are calling us saying, hey, I'm in this contract. How do I get out of it, right? It's just not working. We have customers that say, hey, this is working. We see real value. How do we expand and grow? How do we do more? And how can we build you into our growth as a company, right? Those are the conversations that we have. And so as Steve just kept building a team and building the software and growing that core technology, we just kept plugging away and growing. And so we were able, through that process, to innovate and develop a solution that was extremely scalable.
Yeah. So you're seeing this slow but steady growth. Something happened, though, I'm guessing, where instead of slow and steady, you ticked up. What happened?
Yeah, so in 2016, up until that point, we were live streaming video and archiving.
Yeah.
We never said we were security.
Yeah.
And in 2016, we had put all the pieces together that we believed we could go into the security environment. But to do that, the equipment had to work. The pricing had to be
24/7, no
correct.
question.
Yeah, it just had to be dialed in. And it took us years to figure it out. You think about something like cellular. We're running cellular connection on 99.9% of the units that we deploy. Well, we're also running video through cellular,
right,
which is extremely expensive. So part of the software is that we've developed is how do we manage and control that data so that it doesn't get out of control?
But you must be doing some type of video compression as well. Is that correct?
It's the way that we pull the streams and use the video streams and call them up and shut them down. So we take industry standard compression. Okay. We're not trying to compress anything.
Okay.
We take industry standard, And then it's the way that we bring the streams up and down. So to give you an idea, we can take a mobile unit, run full security on a project, and we average 14 gig a month on data consumption. That's it.
24 hours a day.
24/7.
30 days
365.
a month. Really?
Yeah, full
That's
security.
Not very much.
Right. And so that's part of the technology and the software is to be able to do that. And then give access to the user to be able to view it at any time and all of the events and everything. So, and then you say, okay, we want to be solar powered because we want to be able to go anywhere and not have to touch anybody's power infrastructure. So figuring out how to get all of this equipment running. So we have all of the cameras, cell modem switches, our edge controllers, the recording device, everything runs on about 60 watts.
Not very much.
Yeah,
not very much at all.
Right, it's figuring all of these pieces out. And so 2016, we finally said, okay, we believe we've got this figured out. And we had done testing locally here with some companies to try the security, running analytics, sending alerts, those type of things, and then building the software for the interface to be able to manage all of it. And we went to ISC. The plan was to go to ISC West in Las Vegas, which is a big security show.
I've been.
Yeah, and it's, you know, it was funny. We're a bootstrap company, right?
Sure.
And Dave Studdard says, hey, we need to go to this show. And I had never paid for a booth before.
Oh, wow.
I know it's normal for everybody, but it's like, all right, we can cover payroll or we can pay for this booth, right? And so that was, I mean, it's just the position you're in when you're bootstrap, right? And so we went to the show, and the first person who came in the show on the first day was director of security for one of the largest retailers in the world.
Yeah.
Says, hey, we're looking for these type of systems. And we said, okay. And I asked the question, I said, well, you've got a building and you've got light poles and all of this infrastructure there. Why don't you just use that?
It's too hard.
And he says, it just takes too much time.
Yeah.
It's too hard.
Yeah.
It's red tape. It's trenching. It's all of those problems. We just want to bring a system in. And they were really looking for like a manufacturer to build the hardware that they could put their cameras on. And they had a number of other companies that were competing with us, but we were the only ones that had software. And so we went to their corporate office and we said, look, you're looking for the wrong thing. You're looking for this trailer.
Yeah.
You need to look at the software. You have thousands of locations. You've got to manage all of this equipment. You've got to manage the users. You've got to manage the uptime. You've got to manage the servers, everything that goes into it. That's what we do. And so we were by far the smallest company that they were looking at. And we ended up having vendor approval in 3 weeks, and they sole sourced the contract with us because we were the only ones that had software
3 weeks.
to do it. 3 weeks.
3 weeks. Can you tell who that customer is?
It's one of the largest retailers in
that would be a no. That's fine. Are you still working with them?
Yeah, definitely.
Really? That's fantastic. Because what it sounds like what you did then, Ryan, is what you came and you said, you're smart guys, but you're looking at this wrong. So you disrupted their paradigm.
Right.
You literally said, you're approaching this the traditional way. You need to look at it a different way. And if you do, the solution's actually really easy.
Right.
We just roll in, we become an appendage to you, we support you, and you can scale up or down as whatever you need.
Exactly.
And all the red tape goes away, all the delays go away. You want this up and running in this location tomorrow? We can be there in 48 hours.
Yeah.
Boom, you're up and going.
Yeah, and so it was funny because we said we're a cloud platform. And they said, oh, we don't do the cloud. This was 2017. Yeah. No, we don't trust the cloud. Everything we do is on-prem.
Yeah.
And
on their networks and on their servers and everything.
And we said, let's just try it and you'll like it, right? And so we deployed from the first meeting we had with them. 3 months later, we were deploying. And we went on 170 locations nationwide. And it took off over 1,000 locations. And that was that was the catalyst, right? So when we looked at it, we're a mobile unit, right? It's a trailer in a parking lot with flashing lights. It's designed to draw attention to it. There's audible messages and announcements that are happening. So it draws attention. So we started deploying, and it was like putting billboards all over the country that we got paid for putting out there, right?
Because you had your branding on it.
We had branding on it, and so the phone just started ringing. Hey, I'm in this parking lot. How do I get this on my oil rig? Or how do I get it on my solar farm? Or, hey, I'm a police chief. How do I get these to use in my district? Because I have hotspot areas that I need fast mobile deployment. And it was all day long. And then other retailers started watching it, and they started calling saying, hey, we see that they're doing it here. Basically what you've done is you've put LiveView in their parking lot, and now all their crime and problems have come over to our parking lot. So can we get them in our parking lots? And what's awesome is big box retail. We have, I mean, name a retail company, and they're a customer of ours. Across the board, when we deploy our systems in their parking lots, there's a 70% reduction of crime in the parking lot.
No way.
It's off the charts.
70% drop.
Yeah, so it's safety, right?
So the break-ins go way down.
The break-ins, the violent crimes,
harassments.
the drug deals that go bad, all of that reduces by 70%.
Because your system is talking to them, and it's prominent. It's got your branding all over it, and they're like, well, crap, I don't want to be here. Let's go do this drug deal over here.
Yeah, exactly. So we've got a site for a grocery retailer in the Seattle area. We deployed March of 2021, so a little over a year ago. The 12 months before that, before we were on there, for 1 year before it, they had 15 shootings, 3 murders, 672 times the police were called. Jeez. In that 12-month period.
In how many locations?
In one location. This is one parking lot at a grocery store.
In downtown Seattle or somewhere near Seattle?
In the area, right?
Okay.
We deployed March of last year. Now we're in July of this year. So over, 15 months or whatever that is.
Right.
0 shootings, 0 murders in the parking lot. Like, when we put our systems out, a geographic area around our system is now safer and more secure.
Right.
Right? So our mindset is the more of these we can deploy, we're literally making an area safer and more secure.
So hold on. You've got my training is in PR.
Yeah.
If you haven't done this, you should reach out to that police department for that municipality.
Right.
You guys should give us an award. I'm dead serious. I mean, are you kidding? That's crazy.
Yeah,
how many murders the year before?
There was 3 murders in that parking lot and 15 shootings.
And 600 calls
right,
to the
police.
PD.
Yeah, and you think of police, right? There's the other part of it is that's in the parking lot. What was a surprise to us is, again, average of all these retailers, there's a 55% reduction of shrink in shoplifting inside the store with our units in the parking lot.
Exactly.
And so we actually had one of our customers, they interview known shoplifters, and the shoplifter said, oh, when we see those systems in the parking lot, we go somewhere else.
Go to another store.
Yeah, they're watching us. They're
exactly.
seeing what's happened. We don't want to be documented. We don't want to be recorded, right? So they just go somewhere else.
Yeah.
So it's pretty amazing the instant effect. And so what do? Our sales cycle and our motion, we're not a hard sell. We're not a pushy, hey, what is it going to take to have you sign this today? We just say to our customers, our new customers that are interested, pick some locations. We'll deploy the units. It doesn't cost you a penny. Just try it for 30 days. If you like it, then let's move forward with the relationship and deploy. If you don't, it's not a problem. You know who we are. You know what we do now, and we'll come pick it up.
But the cost for you to do that is not zero, but it's almost zero. Yeah,
I mean, there's shipping.
Your risk is really low.
Yeah, but because it's so quick and easy, it's rapid deployment, right? We can deploy anywhere in the country very quick.
Yeah.
And so instead of spending months of trying to convince them that it works, we just say, try it. What are your problems? Let's go fix your problems. If we fix them, then let's talk, larger scale deployment.
But the reality is your CAC goes way down. Your customer acquisition cost drops like this, and your time from contact to potential sale goes like this as well.
Right.
Correct?
So we're working with the largest companies in the world, from not just big box retail, but all the verticals that we're in, right? And we have about a 30-day to deploy, from first meeting to deploying on their sites as a pilot, and then we have a PO within 90 days of the first time we meet. These are the largest companies in the world with all the red tape. And so it moves really fast because it's so effective and it works.
So you start from home view. You're working in the residential space, probably higher valued homes. As you get towards 2007, you see this cloud coming, this storm coming.
Right.
The opportunity happens with UDOT. That's your first foray into government. And then in 2016, you migrate into your first commercial application. You're seeing this really interesting compression of time from a sales, deployment, and closing. But the other thing is you're also getting more and more into government.
Right.
I mean, so for example, on your website, the city of Camden. I served my LDS mission in Washington, D.C. Back in the day. Camden, New Jersey was in one of my very first area. Camden's a scary place.
Right.
I'm assuming that's when you say Camden, that's what you mean, the city of Camden. At one point, it was the second largest slum in America and not a good place to be. But you're also working with Miami Police Department. Talk about some of the things that you're seeing now with government, whether it's municipalities or whether it's agencies like a police department. Why are they coming to LiveView?
Yeah, so it's interesting. You have government agencies. Budget restraints are always a problem. Budgets don't seem to be increasing. They are decreasing for the traditional human element, right? They want technology to come in and help them to be more efficient. And so you take Miami Police Department, for example. We have Miami Police Department as a customer. We also have Miami Parking Authority. And we deployed, so they have over 100 parking
structures or lots or whatever.
Yeah.
Sure.
And they have security guards that drive around and check them, right? People are going there, they're leaving their vehicles, they're getting broken into. There's individuals by themselves at all hours of the day that are coming out. It's a safety issue. You're by yourself, violent crimes, those type of things. And so we started deploying on these parking lots just to have a presence there and make it more secure and more safe. And last fall, at one of the parking lots, we had an instance where it was late at night and a person came on, and when we went and looked at the video, they were acting really strange. And they came and looked at our system and looked at the camera, right? And so we had a facial shot of them.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they went over and shot a homeless person in the head. And the person ended up surviving. But we got a call from the police department, and they said, hey, this happened. Can you pull the footage? We pulled the footage. We gave it to them. And they ended up 48 hours later, from our footage and our pictures that we had, they arrested the person, which was a serial killer in the area that was going around killing homeless people.
Crazy.
And so there was this news report on it. and they had caught this person. And so, we put a mobile system in a parking lot that helped catch a person who was going around killing homeless people.
Crazy.
And so it's, we started off, like you were saying, we want to see what's happening on this home construction project to now deploying on any type of environment that you can think of: agriculture, oil and gas, critical infrastructure, police departments. It just goes on and on and on. And the interesting thing is it's the same equipment, the same software, the same use case. It's just looking at different things. So it allows us to not just be in one vertical and be very custom to that vertical. We can take the same thing and go on anything. And so when we look at the TAM, the opportunity, it just continues to grow. We've got one now with the price of gas. We're deploying on gas stations. This is just in the last couple of weeks because people are going and stealing the gas.
Yeah.
Right. And breaking the pumps to pump all of this gas out. And so we can deploy our units, run analytics on it so that they can't do that.
Very interesting. So we're nearing the end of our conversation. This has actually been very interesting and fun to learn about LiveView. We're here in part because not too long ago, LiveView announced that it had raised $50 million in a Series B round of funding. Congratulations.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. And the money came from Sorensen, which is, of course, if not the oldest, one of the oldest private equity groups, venture capital investment companies here in the state of Utah, and a number of other organizations. I want to say, in fact, that one was Pelion Ventures, which I'm assuming Pelion was early on with you guys. Is that correct?
Yeah, so we did a Series A December of 2020.
Yeah. So
with Pelion and Lead Edge.
Yeah, and then the other one, which was a little surprising, I suspect to most individuals I know because of my conversation with the CEO of this company, was the Larry H. Miller Group also invested in the company this time around, which may seem out of tune with what most people think about when they think about Larry H. Miller Group of companies, except that's actually part of what they're going to be doing going forward, is investing more and more in companies. So, $50 million helps you to do what?
Yeah, so it's really growth. The equipment that we use, it's not going to purchase equipment. We finance all of the equipment. So it's sales, marketing, development, and innovation.
Okay.
So just if you look back 2 years ago, we were 100 full-time employees. Today we're at 350 full-time. Growth, we're 450 by the end of the year. I think we're 700 by the end of next year. So aggressive growth. ARR, we're growing at 130%. So well over 100% a year. As companies right now with economic trends, some downturns, a lot of companies, especially in the tech sector, they're being hit pretty hard. For us, we double down and we grow. These times of, political unrest, financial unrest, social unrest, all of these things create anxiety and fear, and it makes people do desperate things, which increases the need for our solution. And so for us, this is a time for us to continue to grow aggressively.
Very cool. Very cool. Ryan Porter, thank you very much for coming in today to tell us the LiveView Technologies story. Congratulations again on the funding and on your overnight success. That's not really overnight. 18 plus years
18
now.
years of overnight, right?
Exactly. So thank you again. So here at Silicon Slopes in Lehi, Utah, this is David Politis with Silicon Slopes Conversations. Thank you for joining us, and we'll catch you next time.